In this video we're going to apply ratios to a problem involving a water tank. So first of all, let's establish some facts about this water tank. We know that when it's 2/5 full it contains 560 litres of water. And the problem is, how much water is in the tank when it's completely full? Well, we've got two quantities to compare. One of them is the fraction of the tank that's full of water, and the other is the capacity or the amount of water that's in the tank. So we've got two things to compare, and that suggests that we can use ratios. But how do we know for certain that we can use ratios? Well, what we need to do is establish that the two quantities are in direct proportion to each other. So let's have a look at another case to see how we can do that. So we've got a section of the ruler coloured in, that's in red, and it's 1/3 of the ruler, and the length that occupies is 5 centimetres. Now if they're in direct proportion, if one doubles, then so should the other quantity. So if we double the fraction length that's coloured in, it's gone from 1/3 to 2/3, then the length should double as well. And in this case it has, it's gone from 5 centimetres to 10 centimetres. The other thing to check to see if two quantities are in direct proportion to each other is to say, what if one quantity was 0? So if none of the ruler was coloured in, the length that would occupy would be 0 centimetres. So to be in direct proportion, as well as both quantities changing in the same way, in other words the same scale factor, they also need to be 0 at the same time. So going back to our tank problem, we're comparing two quantities, the fraction of water in the tank and the capacity or the amount of litres in the tank. And what we want to know is, if it's 2/5 full, and that's 560 litres, how much would there be if it was 5/5 full? And instead of saying 5/5, we can just say a whole number of 1. So we can compare the ratios as fractions. So instead of saying 2/5 to 560, we'll say 2/5 over 560, and the equivalent ratio that we're trying to work out for a full tank is 1 over an amount we don't know. We'll call that x. That'll be our total amount of water that's in the tank. Now to solve this problem, we can always, when there's one fraction equal to another fraction involving an unknown, use cross multiplication. So what we'll do is we'll multiply the x on the bottom side of the right fraction by 2/5 and multiply the 560, which is on the bottom side of the left fraction, by 1. So basically we're removing the denominators by cross multiplication. So we get 2/5 of x is equal to 560. Now to find x, we need to remove the 2 and the 5 from the left hand side. The easiest thing to do is to remove the 5 first by multiplying both sides by 5. When we do that, we get 2x equals 2,800. The next thing to do is to remove the 2, and we do that by doing the opposite of multiplication of 2, which is happening presently on the left, by dividing both sides by 2. And we get that x equals 1,400. And that's our solution. The amount of water in the tank when it's full is 1,400 litres. Let's have a look at another way we can solve this same problem. What we could do at the start is look at it in terms of fractions. So we've got 2/5 of the tank gives us 560 litres. Now we can talk now solely in terms of fractions. So when we say 1/5, we'll express that as 1 to 280. In other words, 1/5 of the tank contains 280 litres. And we'll express that ratio as 1 to 280. Now to get a full tank, we want 5/5. So we multiply our 1/5 by 5, and we do the same with the 280 litres. And when we do that, we get 280 multiplied by 5 equals 1,400 litres. So the tank, when it's full of water, contains 1,400 litres.